Have you ever met someone who made you question every mistake you ever made in love? Not because she judged you, but because her heart showed you what genuine love actually looks like? If life ever places a woman like that in your path, don't be careless with her. Some people come into your life to change your future, and if you let them go, you may spend years searching for what you once held in your hands, without realizing its true value. When I was younger, I thought finding the right woman meant finding someone beautiful enough to make everyone else jealous. I thought love was about excitement, the late-night phone calls, the endless compliments, the butterflies that never seemed to stop. Back then, I confused emotions with foundations. As I believed feelings alone could carry a relationship through anything. Life has a way of correcting beliefs that aren't built on truth. I watched couples who looked perfect from the outside quietly fall apart behind closed doors. I watched people celebrate anniversaries on social media while sleeping in separate rooms at night. I watched promises disappear faster than they had been made. Slowly, my idea of love began to change. I realized that attraction might bring two people together, but character decides whether they stay together. That lesson became real the day I met her. There was nothing dramatic about our first conversation. No movie scene. No fireworks. Just two people talking about ordinary life. Yet when I walked away that day, something felt different. For the first time in years, I didn't feel impressed. I felt peaceful. Peace is strange, and you rarely notice it while you're living in it. But once you've lived through enough chaos, peace becomes the most attractive quality in the world. As the weeks passed, I started noticing little things about her that many people would probably overlook. She thanked people who served her, she remembered names, she smiled at children, she treated older people with genuine respect. She never acted differently because someone had more money, more influence, or more status. Her kindness wasn't selective. It was part of who she was. And one afternoon, we were standing in line at a grocery store when an elderly man accidentally dropped several bags onto the floor. Before anyone else reacted, she quietly knelt down and helped him gather everything. She didn't look around to see who was watching. She didn't expect praise. But she simply helped because someone needed help. As we walked back to the car, I asked, you always do things like that, don't you? Yo, she smiled. My parents taught me something. I asked what it was. They told me that your true character appears when helping someone gives you absolutely nothing in return. Those words stayed with me for days because they revealed something rare. Kindness isn't a strategy, it's a lifestyle. That was the moment I stopped admiring her personality. I started admiring her heart. Many people ask, what makes someone unforgettable? It's not perfect looks. Looks change. It's not success. Success comes and goes. It's not popularity. Popularity fades. What remains is character. Character survives every season. The more time we spent together, the more I realized she never tried to become the loudest person in the room. She didn't need attention to feel valuable. She listened more than she spoke. She encouraged more than she criticized. She celebrated other people's victories as though they were her own. Then one evening, I asked her, how do you stay so positive? She laughed softly. I'm not always positive. I've just learned that bitterness punishes the person carrying it more than anyone else. That answer surprised me. Because it wasn't something she had memorized, it was something she had lived. You can always tell the difference. Wisdom doesn't sound impressive, it sounds peaceful. As time passed, I noticed something else. Whenever we disagreed, she never tried to humiliate me. She never collected old mistakes to use against me. She focused on solving the problem instead of winning the argument. That's incredibly rare. Many people fight to be right. Very few fight to protect the relationship. One rainy afternoon, we found ourselves talking about the future. Not about weddings, not about houses, not about money. We talked about the kind of people we hope to become. She quietly said, I hope I never become someone who makes the person I love feel alone. I looked at her for a long moment because I realized she wasn't talking about romance. She was talking about responsibility. Being present, being dependable, being someone another person could safely lean on when life became heavy. That sentence stayed with me, and little by little it changed the way I viewed relationships forever. I stopped asking whether someone loved me. I started asking whether their actions made me feel emotionally safe.
There's a huge difference. Words can comfort you for a moment. Actions comfort you for a lifetime. One Sunday, we visited my grandparents. They had been married for more than 50 years. As we sat together after dinner, my grandfather quietly reached over and adjusted the blanket around my grandmother because she looked cold. He didn't think about it. He simply did it. She smiled without saying a word. That tiny moment touched me more than any romantic movie ever could. On our drive home, she smiled and said, "That's what lasting love looks like." I nodded. It isn't loud. No, it never needed to be. That conversation changed something inside me. I finally understood that genuine love isn't measured by dramatic moments. It's measured by quiet consistency, by showing up, by remembering, by caring, by choosing each other again and again, even when life becomes ordinary. As the months went by, I realized she possessed something I'd spent years searching for, without even knowing its name. She brought peace wherever she went, not because life was always easy, but because she refused to let temporary problems steal permanent kindness. The more I watched her live, the more I found myself becoming someone better, and that's when I discovered one of the greatest truths about love. The right woman doesn't simply make you feel loved. She inspires you to become a man you're proud to be. She inspires you to become a man you're proud to be. That may be the greatest gift another person can ever give you. Not money, not comfort, not admiration, growth. Because real love doesn't ask you to become someone else. It quietly challenges you to become the best version of yourself. I remember one evening when we were sitting on a quiet hill, watching the sun disappear behind the mountains. The conversation drifted from childhood memories to future dreams. At one point, I asked her, "What do you think makes a relationship last?" She didn't answer immediately. She watched the sunset for a few more seconds before saying, "Two people who never stop being students." I looked at her, confused. She smiled. People think they know everything about the person they love after a few years. But people keep changing. If you stop learning who they are, you'll eventually start loving an old version of them instead of the person standing in front of you. That answer stayed with me for weeks, because she was right. Love isn't about reaching a finish line where you finally know everything about someone. Love is choosing to stay curious, to keep asking questions, to keep listening, to keep discovering new parts of each other. One afternoon, we got caught in heavy traffic after a long and exhausting day. Cars were barely moving. People were honking. Everyone looked frustrated. I glanced over at her, expecting her to be annoyed. Instead, she smiled and turned the radio down. "Tell me something you've never told anyone." I laughed. "Now? Why not?" For the next hour, traffic didn't matter. We talked about childhood fears, old regrets, dreams we had quietly hidden from the world. That was the moment I realized something beautiful. She had an incredible ability to turn wasted time into meaningful moments. That's a rare quality. Some people only know how to enjoy perfect days. Others know how to create beautiful moments inside imperfect ones. If you find someone like that, don't underestimate them. One weekend, we visited a children's hospital to deliver books and small gifts. On our way home, I noticed she had been unusually quiet. I asked what was on her mind. She looked out the window and softly said, "Life is shorter than we think. We spend so much time arguing over things that won't matter 5 years from now." Then she looked at me. "If we ever build a life together, promise me something." "What?" "Promise me we'll never become too busy to be kind to each other." I didn't answer immediately, because I knew she wasn't asking for a simple promise. She was asking for a way of living. I nodded. "I promise." That promise became something I carried with me every day, not because she reminded me, because I wanted to. As our relationship grew stronger, I noticed another quality that made her extraordinary. She celebrated my strengths without ignoring my weaknesses. She encouraged me to improve without making me feel inadequate. When I failed, she didn't say, "I told you so." She said, "We'll figure it out." Do you know how powerful those 3 words are? We'll figure it out. Not, "You figure it out." Not, that's your problem. Will. One word. A lifetime of meaning. Because healthy love replaces loneliness with partnership. It reminds you that difficult seasons are no longer yours to carry alone. Months later, we attended the wedding of close friends. Everyone was smiling. The music was beautiful. The decorations were unforgettable. But what stayed with me wasn't the ceremony. It was watching the bride's grandparents quietly holding hands throughout the evening. They barely spoke. They didn't need to. After decades together, their silence was filled with understanding. As we drove home, I asked, "Do you think love changes after so many years?" She smiled. "I hope it does." I looked at her. "I don't want us to love each other the same way forever. I want us to love each other better every year." That sentence completely changed my understanding of commitment. Too many people hope love never changes. Healthy love should change. It should become deeper, calmer, more patient, more forgiving, more generous, more intentional. The excitement of the beginning is beautiful, but the peace that comes with lasting trust is even more beautiful. People often ask me today, what kind of woman should a man hold on to? My answer is always the same. Hold on to the woman whose words and actions match. Hold on to the woman who respects people who can offer her nothing. Hold on to the woman who apologizes sincerely instead of protecting her pride. Hold on to the woman who celebrates your victories without making them about herself. Hold on to the woman who inspires you to become kinder, wiser, and more humble. Hold on to the woman who brings peace instead of constant confusion. Because beauty catches your attention. Character keeps your heart. One evening, as we watched the stars together, she quietly asked, "Do you think people ever realize how valuable someone is while they still have them?" I looked up at the sky before answering. "Some do, but too many don't." She nodded. "I hope we never become those people." Neither do I. Because gratitude should never arrive after goodbye. The people who love us deserve appreciation while they're still close enough to hear it. I learned that lesson from her, and it became one of the greatest lessons of my life. I learned that lesson from her, and it became one of the greatest lessons of my life. From that day on, I stopped assuming she knew how much she meant to me. I told her, not only on special occasions, not only after difficult moments reminded me how close I had come to taking her for granted. I told her on quiet mornings, on ordinary afternoons, on evenings when nothing extraordinary had happened. Because love shouldn't wait for perfect moments before it speaks. Some of the most meaningful words are spoken on completely ordinary days. One morning, as we were making breakfast together, she smiled and said, "You know what I love about us?" I laughed. "I have a feeling you're about to teach me something." She smiled. "We've stopped trying to impress each other. We're just trying to take care of each other." I stood there in silence, because she had described something I had never been able to put into words. Many relationships begin with performance. People carefully choose every word, every outfit, every gesture. Everyone wants to appear perfect. But real intimacy begins when pretending ends. When you can admit you're tired. When you can say you're scared. When you can confess that you don't have everything figured out. And instead of rejection, you receive understanding. That kind of acceptance changes a person. One afternoon, we visited my parents. As we were leaving, my mother quietly pulled me aside. She smiled and asked, "Do you know why she brings so much peace into your life?" I shrugged. My mother looked toward her and softly replied, "Because she isn't trying to win your attention every day. She's trying to protect your heart." I never forgot those words. Protecting someone's heart is very different from simply having their affection. Affection creates emotions. Protection creates trust. And trust is the soil where lasting love grows. Months later, life became more difficult than either of us expected. Work became stressful. Responsibilities increased. Unexpected challenges tested our patience. There were days when both of us came home emotionally exhausted. Those were the days I paid the closest attention, because difficult seasons reveal what comfortable seasons hide. She never pretended everything was fine. She admitted when she was overwhelmed. She admitted when she needed encouragement. She admitted when she was afraid. And somehow, that honesty brought us closer instead of pushing us apart. It reminded me that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's courage. Pretending you're always strong builds walls. Being honest builds bridges. One evening, After a particularly difficult week, I apologized for not being my usual self. She gently smiled and said, "I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to let me stand beside you." Those words reached places inside me that years of advice never could. Because for so long, I believed love meant carrying every burden alone. She taught me that real partnership means allowing someone to help carry the weight. That's not dependence. That's trust. As time passed, I began noticing something remarkable. The happiest moments in our relationship were rarely the expensive ones. They were simple. Cooking dinner together, walking without a destination, reading in the same room, laughing over old memories, watching the rain from the front porch. Life's greatest treasures often arrive disguised as ordinary moments. Too many people spend their lives chasing extraordinary experiences while overlooking the miracle of everyday peace. One evening, I asked an elderly woman who had been married for nearly 60 years, "What kept your marriage alive?" She smiled warmly before answering, "We never stopped being grateful." I asked if gratitude really made that much difference. She nodded. When appreciation disappears, love begins feeling invisible. That sentence stayed with me. How often do people silently wonder whether they're still valued? How many relationships become distant because both people assume the other already knows they're loved? Never let appreciation become unspoken. Speak it. Show it. Live it. If she supports your dreams, thank her. If she encourages you when you feel discouraged, tell her what it means to you. If she stands beside you when life becomes difficult, never make her wonder whether her loyalty mattered, because one day, memories will become more valuable than possessions, and you'll never regret expressing genuine gratitude. To every man listening today, let me say something from the deepest part of my heart. If life blesses you with a woman whose kindness remains consistent, whose loyalty survives difficult seasons, whose honesty makes you trust more than fear, whose patience teaches you to become better, whose presence fills your life with peace instead of confusion, don't gamble with that blessing.
Yeah, don't become distracted by temporary excitement and overlook permanent character. Lance, don't let ego convince you that someone equally rare will always appear. People with beautiful hearts are uncommon. Dumdian, treat them accordingly, and while you're searching for someone with those qualities, never forget your own responsibility. Manda, become the kind of man she deserves. Protect her peace the way she protects yours. Manda, celebrate her victories with the same joy she celebrates yours. Listen before defending yourself. Bean, forgive before resentment has the chance to grow. Keep choosing kindness when life becomes stressful. Oh. Jam, keep choosing respect when disagreements arise. Keep choosing love when convenience tempts you to become careless. Feel, because extraordinary relationships aren't built by extraordinary luck. Mounds, they're built by ordinary people making extraordinary choices every single day. Ben, and so if you ever find a woman like this, a woman whose character shines brighter than her appearance, whose loyalty is stronger than temptation, whose compassion is greater than pride, whose wisdom brings calm into every storm, whose heart inspires you to become a better man, don't merely keep her, treasure her, honor her, pray with her, love with her, grow old with her. Then because years from now, when your hair has turned gray and your hands have become slower, you won't remember every gift you exchanged or every place you traveled. And yet you'll remember the woman who believed in you when you doubted yourself. Vance, the woman who stayed when leaving would have been easier, the woman who turned ordinary days into unforgettable memories. Mand, the woman who reminded you that real love isn't loud, it's faithful, it's patient, it's humble, it's forgiving. Then it's consistent, and above all, it's a choice made again every morning, again every evening, and again after every disagreement, again after every disappointment, again after every victory, again through every season of life. And so if you find a woman like this, don't spend your life wondering whether she's the one. Men, spend your life becoming the man who never gives her a reason to regret choosing you. Lance, because the rarest love isn't the one that makes your heart race for a moment. Bleen, it's the one that gives your soul peace for a lifetime. And if you find that kind of woman, that, keep choosing her forever,